When we moved to Salem, Connecticut in 1910, we had absolutely no relatives there. It was hundreds of miles away from the ones in Lindora, Pennsylvania. I believe that a friend of my family moved to Connecticut first. I think he was the perpetrator of our moving there. My brothers and sisters and I always felt that we were unfairly treated because we had no uncles, no aunts, no cousins, no relatives to talk about, let alone visit them. The only ones we knew anything about were the relatives of whom my mother spoke. In a way, we felt cheated because some of the kids at school could spiel volumes about theirs. The first experience we had of meeting a cousin, a real live cousin, was when I was 14 years old. It was difficult to bring anyone here from Europe then, but my mother had several grandnieces who were born here, so they were entitled to come as United States citizens. Their parents returned to Europe when the girls were very, very small. They had no knowledge of the English language. First, of course, my mother brought them over. First came Phyllis Maretzka. She was 18 years old, a good-looking girl, but so foreign to us. Her dress was so different from ours and so foreign-looking that we were amused with her appearance. She stayed with us a few months to get acclimated a little. Then a friend of ours in New London took her in and got her a job in a mill rather, making thread or cloth, whatever. Anyway, she did very well, and within a few years, she sent for her sister Anne. They both lived together in New London, visiting us now and then. They were our only cousins. Both married and continued living in New London until they passed away. Incidentally, they brought over a third sister, Cecilia, whom I met only once. A lovely, well-spoken girl. She was a trained nurse on the other side, but being that she knew no English, she had to work in a factory also. She could not work in a hospital, not as a nurse anyway. Phyllis had 4 children, now another generation removed. I knew only the oldest child, Phyllis Jr. The boys I didn't know at all. There were 3 of them. When I married and moved to Jersey City, I lost contact with them. Each of us was so absorbed in bringing up our own families, we only exchanged Christmas cards, rarely seeing one another. Traveling to Connecticut was a seldom occasion. Oh, I was bridesmaid for Phyllis, and my sister Sue was bridesmaid for Anne. Believe it or not, I hadn't seen Phyllis Jr. since she was perhaps 5 years old. Evidently, her mother told her children very little about the Fisher cousins. That was us. Because Phyllis Jr. knew nothing about us. When the 2 sisters, Phyllis and Anne, first came here, we took a family photograph of the whole family. In the photograph, they appeared too, with my brothers and sisters, mom and dad. This we sent to Europe to her parents so they would see the whole family here. That was in 1924 or 1925. Well, when my husband passed away in 1986, I thought it would be nice to duplicate that family portrait to give to each one in the picture. My brother Walter was gone, so I sent a photograph to his daughter Lee. My brother Bill was gone, so I sent one to my sister-in-law Mildred. I sent one to my brother Joe, one to my brother Bruno, and one to Phyllis Jr., so that she would know us all. My sister Sue declined one. She said she had had one. Well, when Phyllis Jr., now Phyllis Martin, received it, she was overwhelmed and asked so many questions it was incredible. I responded to her letters by mail, and it wasn't until last summer, July 1988, while I was visiting my relatives in Salem, that I met her for the first time as an adult. Of course, she is married and has one child, a daughter. She is such a lovely person. Also, her husband and daughter are lovely too. I am so sorry that all these years passed and we had no closeness until now. Young Phyllis, as I referred to her, is 59 years old. I can hardly believe it. But, as they say, time waits for no man, just as a river keeps rolling along without stopping.